Well, hello and welcome to the channel, everybody. It's been a long time since I've uploaded anything to the channel. If there's any regulars around who want to know why that is, stay tuned and I will address it at the beginning of the video. If you're new to the channel, then welcome, and you're not interested in my boring personal life, then just skip forward a few minutes and we'll be into the main body of the video, which is all about how I ruined my Benelli TRK 502X. But before that, you guessed it, roll them credits. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So I'll just get the personal bit out of the way. Please bear in mind that I am Generation X. We were brought up to just not care about anything, to get on with it, not to air your dirty linen in public and all them shenanigans. So all I'm going to say is that I haven't been uploading because recently, over the last year or two, I have had some personal things going on in my life. My life was literally turned upside down, and it's just taken me a while to, you know, take time out, get back on track with everything. And you know, during times like this, YouTube channels sort of don't really register on the scale. They take the back foot type of thing. They're not really important compared to the stuff that I... Oh, look at this here. Come on, birdie, out the way. Yeah, so YouTube channel hasn't really featured heavily on my list of to do and sort out of recent times. So that's that out of the way. Let's get to the part where we talk about the Benelli TRK 502X. Right then, so how have I ruined this bike? Well, I suppose it's a little bit subjective to whether you agree that I've ruined it or not. I would say mechanically wise, the bike is perfect. I could take it for an MOT tomorrow without having to do any prep on it and it would pass. I could take it out tomorrow on a 3,000-mile road trip and it would cope with it easily and do it reliably and in comfort, which is what the TRKs do. So how have I ruined it? Well, if we go back a couple of winters, not this winter just gone, the winter before. Now, if you live in the UK, especially Scotland, you will know that that winter was extremely harsh. I mean, it rained for months, it was freezing temperatures for months, wind, heavy storms, one after another, sleet, snow, rain, you name it, we had it. And during that time was when everything in my life sort of went tits up and went wrong. And as a result, I got very demotivated, a lack of motivation to do anything such as look after my motorbikes. And at the time, I took a job working up in Edinburgh as a motorcycle instructor. Now, it's about a 100-mile round trip from here to Edinburgh, so I was doing 100 miles a day. And then obviously on top of that, I was also doing the on-road training. So it worked out, I was averaging around about 1,000 miles a week on the bike. And unfortunately, when I was getting home at the end of each day, I wasn't cleaning the bike. I might hose down the brake calipers if the hose pipe wasn't frozen, and to be honest, for the majority of the time that I was working there, it was frozen solid. It was just such a bad time of the year. I think it was December time, sort of around that time, I seem to remember. So all I was doing, I was just putting the bike in the garage and letting it rot. After a month or so, 2 months, I don't know, I can't recall, I just got to the stage where I just needed a time out from everything, so I jacked the job in. I parked the bike in the garage, never washed it, never cleaned it. I just shut the garage door and I left it for around about 3 months. Never went in the garage, never looked at it. And then about 3 months down the line, I went, opened the garage door, and oh my god, I could have cried. My bike was just like, oh, I can't even describe it. It was just a rusting hunk of metal. It was absolutely horrendous. Now, before all you keyboard warriors jump on the keyboard and start saying, well, if you'd had a BMW or if you'd had a Honda, no, I'm not having that, because the amount of abuse that this bike got over those couple of months and then left to rot for 3 months, any bike would have been in the same condition. And I have a Honda NC750X, and during that time that did a fraction of the mileage, but I didn't clean that either. And when I say a fraction of the mileage, I mean I was just running down to the shops at the weekend. So over the same period of time, that might have done anywhere in between 30 and 60 miles, whereas this was doing 1,000 miles a day. So 1,000 miles a day, 1,000 miles a week, should I say. So, you know, any bike that had been abused in the way that this bike had been abused would have been in a terrible mess. So I was surprised that when I came to clean the bike and dig it out, just how well it had fared underneath all that surface rust. There were things on the bike that were beyond repair that I had to replace. I'm not going to lie about that. However, you know, the bike, it wasn't as bad as I initially thought. However, why do I say I've ruined this bike if I'm saying it's not that bad? Anybody who's had a motorbike and formed a bond with a specific motorbike that they've owned will know that feeling when you get off a bike and you walk away from it and you have to turn around and have a little look at it, and you look at it and you think to yourself, yeah, that's my bike, and it puts a big smile on your face. And you don't get that with all bikes, and it doesn't mean that the bike's a good bike. You know, I've had bikes in the past that have been absolute terrible to ride, but they're just so much fun, so much character. I love them, you know, and I've got that bond with it. And then I mentioned the Honda. I mean, that Honda is a fantastic bike. It does everything really well. But for some reason, I don't have that connection I have with this bike, the Benelli. So yeah, so now when I look at my bike, when I walk away, I look at it and I just think to myself, oh man, it's past its sell-by date. Even though mechanically it's sound, I've got every confidence in it, it's just a little niggling thing. Some of them you can't even see, but I know they're there underneath lurking. So what I'm going to do is we're going to magically jump back to the home ranch, and I'll do a walk-through, talk-through with close-up video footage of the bike, and we'll go through what got damaged, how much damage there was from the corrosion, what needed replacing, and we'll have a good overall look at the bike. So let's go. Okay, so here we are, back at home as if by magic. So this is the state of the bike. Admittedly, I've just given it a good clean and a good dig out. So overall, when you look at it from a distance, it doesn't look that bad. However, there are things that really, really irk me because I know they're there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom, at the back, and work my way through the bike and explain all the damage that the corrosion did. So here goes. Okay, so we'll start with the wheels. The wheels, there's lots and lots of stone chips on the wheels. The bike is over 6 years old. But to be honest, the amount of use and abuse this bike has had, I think the wheels aren't too bad, to be honest. There's nothing on the spokes. There's paint flaked off around where the spokes actually join the wheel. But the spokes themselves, there's no corrosion whatsoever. So I'm pretty happy with the wheel situation. Let's have a look at the front. Again, looking at the front rim, you can see that there are lots and lots of stone chips on the rims, and there is some paint flaking again around where the spokes actually join the rim. However, looking at the spokes themselves, you know, they're in very, very good condition, no corrosion whatsoever. Okay, moving up, talk about the brake discs. The brake discs were in absolutely shocking condition. They rusted really, really bad. But however, you know, it was just surface rust. You can see the discs have come up really well. You can see at the back there, you can see some of the rust that is still left on the inside of the disc that I couldn't get to. I just couldn't be asked to take the discs off, take the front wheel off and everything to clean them. So just by looking at that, you can imagine what the outside of the disc was like. Okay, going to the brake calipers. Now, the brake calipers are the things that took the massive hit. They were that seized up that I struggled to get them off, you know, to get them off to try and unseize them. I did manage to clean them up and get them working. However, every week I was having to take them off and clean them because they were binding. Now, I could have took the back calipers off and just overhauled them, got a piston set, put new seals in. But to be honest, for how much the actual calipers are for this bike, it was easier just to replace them. So I got this back caliper off AliExpress. I think I paid £80 for it, including the bike pump, which is located behind this cover here. And I got these front ones off eBay from Italy. They are actually second hand, and I paid, I think, about £110 for 2 calipers and about £25 postage. And they came off, I think, a 22 model bike. And they are literally like brand new. There's a little bit of paint flaking on the Benelli, but honestly, they are in pristine condition. So very happy with that. The forks, absolutely nothing wrong with the forks at all. There's no corrosion on the forks. So no problems with the forks at all. Okay, so moving on. Now, this is the big one. This is why I say I've ruined my bike and it absolutely drives me mad. You can see that the swing arm has took a massive beating. You can see where the paint rusted off and flaked off, and I've had to get a wire brush on it to get it back to metal, rust proof it, and then go back over it with paint to seal it. It was very bad. I don't know if we can see down there where the rear shock joins to the swing arm, to the frame. That was very, very rusted, and when I first saw it, I thought, oh my god, this is going to be a new swing arm job. However, when I cleaned it all off and wire brushed it and got it back to metal, it wasn't that bad, to be honest. It was sort of like orange peel pitting in the metal. But I cleaned it all off, gave it a good rust proofing, and then painted it all up. But it just aggravates me knowing that the swing arm isn't pristine anymore. You can see on this side again, the same. You can see where the rust got to it and flaked the paint off. It's especially around where the welds are. Really, really disappointed with myself. Some of the fasteners on the wheel, on the back sprocket, the spacer on the back wheel, they were really rusted. Had to get wire wool on those and give them a good clean and get them right back to metal again. As for the rest of the fasteners, they were pretty good actually. I mean, looking at the fasteners here, they're all still pretty good. There's one that's gone there, that's gone a little bit rusty. That one there went a little bit white and furry. Again, down here, there's a couple that went a little bit furry and had to be given the wire wool treatment. These two here, they went a little bit rusty, had to be a little bit of rust proofing on. But overall, the fasteners, they're pretty good quality. Okay, the chain. Now, I have to be upfront about this. This is not a Benelli chain. This was is a DID gold chain. Now, this chain was that rusted that it didn't even look like a chain. You could hardly make the definitions of the links out. It was that rusted. And I honestly thought that the chain would have to be replaced. However, I just used a normal chain cleaning brush and a whole can of chain cleaner, and it come up okay. It's not like new. A lot of the gold colour has gone out of it, but it's still in great condition. There's no stiff parts of the chain, there's no tight spots or anything. So yeah, very, very happy with that. The rear sprocket, I've replaced that, not because it went really rusty or anything, just because it was due to be replaced. It was that time for it to get through wear and tear to replace it. The back stand, the centre stand was very, very rusty on these cross members here. The rest, the side, the down struts weren't too bad, but the cross members, again, I had to clean them up with a wire brush, rust proof them and get some paint on them. Side stand wasn't bad at all. That was pretty much okay. Okay, so getting onto the crash bars. Again, the upper crash bars, they are not Benelli. They were bought off AliExpress. And these crash bars are 5 years old. Well, I've had the bike 6 years and I put them on in the first year that I had it. Now, these look to be in pretty good nick here. However, that's because I've just put some ACF 50 on them to bring them back to black. When the ACF 50 wears off, they look very matte. You can see here on this bar here, you can see it has like a white blooming effect on it. And that is the Benelli fitted accessory bar there. And they go the same colour as that, but if we just put a little bit of ACF 50 on, it brings them back to black pretty good. Paintwork wise, well, can't fault it. The scratches there, that's from where I've caught my boot when I'm getting on and off it, when I used to ride 2 up. The paintwork and the plastics, absolutely fantastic. No issues whatsoever with the bodywork. All the panels are still secure. There's nothing come loose on it. The engine, the paint on the engine is pretty much intact. It's a little bit pitted here. You can see where it's a little bit white and furry. But again, when you take into account the beating that this bike took, again, you can see it here. A little bit of the paint's come off the engine there. But believe me, guys, honestly, this bike had an absolute mauling and beating. This here, this went rusty. So I just rust proofed it and then just put some black paint on it just to seal it. Same again with the foot pegs. They went very rusty, they're very pitted. So they were brought back with a wire brush and painted. So handlebars, the mirror stems on the old bike were completely gone. They'd rusted through, they were pitted, they were seized in. I had the updated hand grips on from the newer models. Those completely went as well. All the silver paint come off. They corroded. They must have been made of an alloy. It was like a white, it went all white and brittle. And to the extent that when I was taking this mirror off, I actually snapped the right hand guard. So I've had to go back and put the old original ones on, but I will be getting some new ones, and I just like the look, and I think they're a little bit more robust, the newer model ones, because this here is metal, whereas this is just plastic. This is neither use a chocolate fire guard if you come off these hand guards. They're just really to keep the wind off your hands. So yeah, so I've had 2 new mirrors. I'm going to have to replace the hand guards as well. The screen isn't stock. That's a WRS touring screen. That's stood up fine. Again, you can see these washers. They've gone rusty, but again, simple to fix. All I've got to do is just put some stainless steel washers on. That's nothing. Jivy spotlights, absolutely fine, still working fine. Everything on the bike works fine. So I've just given it an oil change, new oil filter, changed the fluids in the brakes, because obviously I've changed the calipers, so the fluids had to be changed and replaced. New sprocket's gone on it, and apart from that's it really. I did have a strange one I've never had on bike before. When I was cleaning up all this area around here, I disconnected all this, and when I connected it back on, I was pulling the clutch, and it was only pulling the clutch lever just a couple of mil. And at first I thought that it had come disconnected at this end on the adjuster, but when I looked, it hadn't, and I couldn't work out what was wrong. You know, the cable wasn't snapped because it was moving the clutch arm. So in the end, I had to take this casing off and look, and here I might put a picture up if I can find one. I'm sure there's one online. This is a rod that goes down to here, and then in the middle here there is a plunger on a cam, so that when you pull this, the cam twists and it pushes the plunger and activates the clutch. And I think what had happened was that the plunger had unseated itself. It hadn't come completely out, but it unseated itself enough for the cam to turn back, and then it wasn't setting on the chamfered part of the cam. So it was just a matter of taking this off, pulling the plunger out and resetting the plunger and putting it back together. So that was no biggie really, but it was frustrating. I've never had that happen on any other bike. But other than that, no, mechanically, the bike is absolutely fine. All this gubbins is all stuff I put on for when I'm doing moto vlogging. That's for my heated kit. It's like a thermostat, so you can switch the temperature up and down on your Gerben heated kit. Tyre pressure monitor. That's just another power outlet that holds my remote for my Insta360. Heated grips, TomTom mount. I've painted this up because this went a little bit furry, so that got painted up. But yeah, overall, I think it's held up really well to the beating that it had. But now for me, again, when I look down here, this area here, where the bars are, you can see how the paint's bubbled and rust has got into it and under it. It's just little things like that that really, really aggravate me. So, yeah, I'll keep the bike until I can afford a new one, and then I'll think about getting something new. Can't afford anything mega expensive at the moment. Well, I can't afford anything at the moment, but as soon as I can, I think it's time for this bike to be moved on. No issues with reliability, no worrying about it. It's just time. I've had it 6 years and it's showing signs of wear now. Okay, so that concludes the walk around and the talk through and all the close-up shots. Just please don't think that this is a video set out to bash the TRK. It's not. I think the bike has held up remarkably good, and you know, all the keyboard warriors saying, oh, my BMW would be better, my Honda would be better. I have a Honda NC 750X, and at the time when this was being abused, that was abused as well, but it only did a fraction of the miles. It did about, what, 60 miles, something like that. I was just using it weekends to go to the local shop 3 miles down the road, but I wasn't cleaning it. And after 3 months of leaving that in the garage, that was just as bad as well. And it's cleaned up just as good as this has. So there's not much difference between the two bikes. Yeah, so, you know, it's not designed, this video isn't about bashing the Benelli TRK. It's the opposite. It's to say that, you know, they aren't any different than any other bike. If you keep on top of them and you keep them clean and just do basic maintenance on them, they're going to last you a long time. They'll be reliable, they'll be comfortable, they're cheap to run, they're cheap to insure. So, yeah. So, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that little walk around. Now, back to on the road. Okay, so here we are back on the bike. So as you can see, I wouldn't say this bike's in terrible condition, but it's just not in the pristine condition that I like to keep my bikes. And it's my own fault, it's not the bike's fault. As I've said earlier, you know, you put any bike through what this bike has gone through, you're going to have the same issues. I still love the bike. I still absolutely love riding the bike. Last weekend I went up to the Glencoe Pass on it to meet some friends for a bit of a reunion. I wished I'd taken the cameras because the weather was absolutely fantastic. The Glencoe Pass was just absolutely beautiful. But yeah, so please don't take this video as a video bashing the TRK. It simply isn't that. It's actually highlighting just how good the TRK is compared to any other bike. I don't think it's any better, I don't think it's any worse. The one thing I will say is that you look at the price of some of the major brands and you look at the price of the Benellis, you're certainly getting a lot more for your money, a lot more bang for your buck with these bikes than you are, say, a BMW or a Honda. I mean, Hondas have dropped their prices a little bit now, you know, they bought the Transalpine and the Hornet, and I think that's a knee-jerk response to the Chinese bikes coming in, because, you know, the old saying that the Chinese bikes are rubbish, that they'll rust to bits, that they'll fall to bits, it just isn't true anymore. I think the Chinese bikes coming onto the market is a great thing for motorcycling community in general, because it's going to force the big manufacturers to put products out there that are more affordable, more realistic pricing. So yeah. So I hope you can see that I've been as honest as I can with this video. I always try to be honest, you know. If things are bad, I say they're bad. If things are good, I say they're good. I hope it's been helpful. If you're thinking about buying one of these bikes, I would highly, highly recommend the Benelli TRKs. Can't speak about the 702s, never ridden one, never had anything to do with them, but I've owned this now for a good 5 or 6 years, and it's been an absolutely fantastic bike for the price that I paid for it. So, just to let you know what's coming up to the channel in the future, in all honesty, I don't know. I'm now going to try and get some videos up on a regular basis. I doubt that they will be weekly, but hopefully I can get 1 or 2 up per month. My job has changed. I'm not working abroad anymore. My financial situation has changed massively. I was planning on buying a new bike. That's just gone out the window at the moment. That's not a possibility. So yeah, with the funds that I've got, I will be going out, doing a few tours, nothing major. I've got a few motorbike rallies coming up. I'm going to the ABR again this year. I think there's 3 MAG rallies. I think Into the Valley, the Yorkshire pudding, farmyard party. I'm going to be doing all those, so I'll most probably make a little video of those to show you what's on offer. And yeah, you know, I'll have a think about it, and if you have anything that you'd like me to cover, just let me know. Any ideas will be warmly appreciated. So I hope this video has helped anybody out there. I hope it hasn't been too boring and too droll. I hope it's managed to while away 15-20 minutes of your time in a pleasurable way. So all that's left to say is thank you very much for returning to the channel, if you have returned to the channel, and if you're new to the channel, thank you very much for tuning in and just giving it a shot. And you know, it'd be muchly appreciated if you could just give it a thumbs up. Like I say, life has been hard the last year or two, and any encouragement would be greatly welcomed. So all that's left to say is everybody ride safe. Bike Rider Reviews out.